Howdy y'all, Q here, and today we're going to be going over the Fender Greta, and then we're going to take a look at the schematic to see if there's something we can do to kind of help it sound a little cleaner. Let's get to it.
If you made it this far, welcome to the Q Show. Gonna learn a thing, it's probably in the title.
What are we doing here? We got a Fender Greta. Before we dig into it a little, I'm gonna do a quick sound demo. I feel like this amp really thrives on, on what it is, which is to say it's a super low wattage amp, it breaks up super early, and it does that specifically really well. So let me just hit it with some bridge humbuckers really quick and give you an idea of what we're dealing with here tone-wise. So it gets crunchy. It also does the Paul Blues thing well, of course. Does that whole, like, as you hold it, you get like that, like the whole, like, I don't know, like the way it cleans up just kind of creates that moment. Super cool. That's pretty much all there is to it. We've got our volume knob, we've got our tone knob. Let's go over that a little bit. When you roll it all the way back, it's definitely I would describe this tone knob more as to kind of fine-tune the sound coming in. I personally almost always leave it completely open to roll it back a little, especially when you use external cabinets. It starts bringing it to a little too muddy for me. But it's there, it does its thing. For a especially bright rig, it's probably helpful for taming those highs, or if you're running like pedals into it or something. All right, moving on. Let's talk a little about how this amp works. So with any luck, schematic will start popping up right up here, and you're going to see a couple things. Let's keep it simple. The amp runs on 2 tubes, but you'll see more than 2 things here. That's because some tubes, like the 12AX7, actually have 2 halves to them. So it gets the opportunity to amplify the signal twice, and you'll see that's what's happening here. So you'll see that on its way to the first half of the tube, you really can't do too much about the input, like it just kind of is what it is. On the second half, however, that's where you hit the volume knob and the tone knob, and that's where you get the chance to kind of sculpt the tone a little bit, which gives you the opportunity to create some really cool sounds, but it's also limiting your ability to affect the first half of that tube, which is the case in most amps. It's just bringing that guitar up to that usable input to then mess with. But as I'm about to show you, that first half is clipping too. So check this out. So we'll start really clean. Did you hear that? And then you hear how it like kind of blossoms a second time as you roll it up. That's the rest of the amp starting to clip. You're hitting those other stages of distortion, which gives it such a lushful sound in that distorted way. But what if you wanted this cleaner? You could just roll the volume knob back, but then you lose some high end, of course. Or you could use lower gain pickups, but to make this sound clean, you're really pushing it at that point. So what can we do? What we can do is we can manipulate the signal going in a way that lowers the overall volume of the signal, but preserves that original tone of the guitar. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with this pedal here. Let me see if I can quickly get it in frame. We're using this guy, And we are using this guy for two reasons. One, I mean, it's got a level knob, and the tone knob is going to let us remove some of those lows, which is going to further increase the headroom available going through the amplifier. It seems to be holding on to that low end pretty tightly. So we're going to give it less low end going in, so it'll clip a little less. I've switched to my lower gain neck pickup here, and we're going to see what happens. So this is with the pedal off. And with the pedal on. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. So let me try and put this in a different way that might make a little more sense. When you look at the schematic, you don't have to know everything that's going on in there, but what can be really helpful to know is what is shaping the tone where and what's creating things where. So if you think of it like a pedal board, the halves of the tubes are like, you could think of them as like a clean booster or a distortion, depending on how much headroom's in the channel. And that's pretty much what's going on here. So you got first half, second half, you have your power tubes, which do clip all as well, I'm sure, in some situations, but they're lower gain. So as we're chasing this clean tone, we're not worrying about that as much. We're more really worrying about the first tube, and we are worrying specifically about the first half of that tube, because it's the part that we have no control of going into the amp. So as we chase this cleaner sound that I had in my head with this amplifier, this is how we would go about it. And there we have it. What'd you think? Is this something you would chase down? I'm really happy to have it, because for those like small amp tone, it's a pretty specific flavor, and I love having access to it. If you find one of these at a good price, I would totally go for it. It's a cool example of a simple all-tube amplifier, and it just does the thing. It's also worth noting that the input is right next to the guitar in, so if you want to use this as an effects unit in the studio, you absolutely could. Cool stuff. As always, thank you for watching. I'm Q, and this was The Q Show.